What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Salt and Pauper video. And this week, unfortunately, I was a little under the weather and not able to do as much editing as I usually would to get you guys out the March of the Machines set review. So instead, I have a quick hits list. We're actually going to dive in and talk about all of the noteworthy cards and cards to keep in mind for building decks featuring any of the new cards from March of the Machines. Sorry we weren't able to do a full set review for this one, but we will pick them back up with Aftermath. And as usual, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy.
Ready to talk about some of these Damya mommies?
Oh, I got that, and I am 100% keeping it.
Oh, dang it.
All right. Well, without further ado,
Don't get that.
what's what's up, Josh? How we doing? We excited to talk about some of these March of the Machine cards?
I am so thrilled and excited to be here. I'm just happy to give this a shot. Just put me in, coach.
You don't have to lie to me, but I appreciate the effort. All right, so without any further ado, we're going to do this one a little bit differently than we usually do. Instead of every card and doing the colors individually, we are actually going to be giving you guys a total, all-encompassing, quick hits. We are just going to rapid fire through the cards that we think are the most likely to see play or the most interesting additions to the Pauper format, so that you guys know what to keep your eyes out for and what to keep in mind when you're brewing decks going forward. So to start us off, it's actually going to be Alabaster Host Intercessor, which is a 3/4 Phyrexian Samurai for 6, 5, and a white. And I know what you might be saying. What in the world is this doing on a list of cards to keep my eye on for brewing? And, well, nothing on the text box of the card actually matters until you get to the very bottom where it says Plane Cycling for 2 colorless. Now, this is an entire series. There's one of every color and one of every basic land type in this set. However, with the kind of, we're kind of spoiled for options in Pauper right now for dual lands, especially typed dual lands. We have both the snow duels and the non-snow duels. So it's important to realize that these land cycling cards do not specify basic. They just specify the land type, so you are able to get duels with these. Now, does that mean these will see play? I'm not sure, but it is something important to keep in mind when you're brewing in the future, that these cards are out there, and that you do have one of each type available from March of Machines. So that was really all I had for this one. I just want to make sure that everybody knows and keeps it in mind. I don't think this will see play. In fact, I don't think any of the set will see play, but just in case, now you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is a side grade, I want to say, to Sunblade Samurai, the channel dude we got from Neon Dynasty. Although it is worth noting that that channel ability does gain you 2 life, so I don't think that this one specifically will see a lot of play, but the other one's probably more likely.
But the channel also costed white and specifies basic, I believe.
It specifies basic, it's 2 colorless.
Oh, okay. So it does specify basic, but it does not have a color contribution. Yeah, that's good to know. I think Sunblade Samurai is probably the better option for the cube, at least, but maybe there's some need in maybe Cycle Storm to have a couple of these that do the swamp cycling thing. I mean, we already had Twisted Abomination if they really needed something, but you do have more options, and more options are never a bad thing. So that's it for the first one. Next up, I have Angelic Intervention here, which is an instant for a white and a colorless, and it says target creature or planeswalker you control gains protection from colorless or from the color of your choice until end of turn. If it's a creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. Now, this is just a really interesting effect because it's one of the few options. In fact, I think it might be the second option to ever offer colorless protection in Pauper, which is super interesting. And with Affinity still being a definite top tier deck, it is worth noting that you can give something protection from colorless and also pump it for 2 mana at instant speed in Pauper. Again, one of those cards I don't super think we'll see play in the Pauper format, although it may make the cut in the cube because it does give 1/1 counters, which is a nice bonus. But I think mainly if this is to see play in Pauper, it'll be in the mono white heroic deck, which is a really interesting kind of option for them to have here.
Mhm. Yeah, I do like that this lets you push a little bit more damage just in the 1/1 counter it gives.
Yeah, agreed. I think that the 1/1 counter is really kind of gravy on this card, but I'm happy to have it.
I think that's really the only point of discussion for this
Yeah.
over the other protection from colorless card.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Next up is Enduring Bondwarden. This is a really exciting card for me, I'll be honest. When I saw this card in the spoiler, I was really, really excited about it. It is a 0/1 human scout for 1 white, and it has backup 1. And backup reads, when this creature enters the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following abilities until the end of the turn. And basically, it just gives target creature a 1/1 counter and its text box, or very specifically, everything under the backup keyword. So if anything above backup doesn't transfer. But what this one does, it says when this creature dies, you put its counters on target creature you control. So this is a really interesting option for that mono-white heroic deck I was just mentioning, but also in the white-green subtheme of the cube, since it is a 1/1 counter subtheme. Definitely interesting option to have on a 1-drop, and in general, I think that backup is pretty good, so interested to see what this card does, and I'm going to be keeping my eye on it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and then next up is a card of your choosing. We have Kor Halberd, which is a 1-mana artifact equipment. For a single white, you get equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has vigilance, and it has an equip of 1. What gets you excited about this one?
I think this is just the closest to an actual cost of equipment that I would pay. Bone Splitter, 1 colorless to cast and equip, and gives +2/+0, no keywords. This shifts the second point of power to the toughness and gives a keyword. So I think this is on par with Bone Splitter at least, if not better. It is worth saying though that white cost holds it back a little bit. I think that this is one of the better equipments we've had in a long time.
I agree. I think this is one of the better equipments we've gotten recently, but I disagree that this is on par with Bone Splitter. I think that's going to get a lot of people fired up in the comments down below.
Yep.
But,
go ahead and tell me how wrong you think I am. Down at the bottom.
I do agree that 1 white cost is a huge drawback. In fact, I think it's so big a drawback that it will keep this card completely off the map. But 1 colorless to equip for +1/+1 in vigilance isn't terrible. Especially on a 1-drop. I wish that this was more in line with, what is it? The Living Weapon 1-drop that gives 1/1 and has just equips for 2 colorless with no keyword. I wish that this had like 4 Mirrodin, but like a 1/1 instead of a 2/2, because otherwise it couldn't cost 1.
So you'd have a 1-mana 2/2 vigilance? I don't hate
No,
that.
no, I'd have a 1-mana like 2/2 with no keyword, or 1-mana or 1-mana 1/1 with vigilance with the ability to re-equip, like if it was just actually Living Weapon. Yeah, I think the card's close, but I think that white cost is really going to hold it back.
Possibly. I mean, we have had the was it Crystal Shoe?
Yep.
There's like a version
Crystal
of that costs
Slipper.
1 red. Yeah, it's a version of that. I don't know if Crystal Slipper's the one, but it costs 1 red and it has the same effect.
Yep.
1 to colorless to equip, +1/+0 in haste.
Yep.
And that's been kind of left out as well.
Yeah, completely unplayed. Same with like Cloak of the Bat. I mean, a lot of these keywords really just don't line up with the either additional equip cost or additional casting cost or color in the casting cost. That's been really prohibitive for a bunch of these equipments. So we'll see if this one skirts it. I'm still very much on the board of if Greatsword of Tyr is not seeing play, equipments are bad. Like, I cannot imagine a world where any equipment is more playable than that one if you're playing white. And if you're not playing white, it's probably still Bone Splitter. But until I see an equipment deck that's running Greatsword of Tyr, I'm pretty inclined to write off just about anything with the equipment text type.
That's fair. Great Sword of Tyr does notably have that white to equip and the white to cast. And then also it doesn't get pumped immediately. You do have to attack with a creature to get a counter on it.
True.
So it's a lot more delay based in its power. I think the Kor Halberd just lets you slide it into the curve a lot easier.
Maybe that could be true. If there is like a mono, if like mono white Metalcraft comes back, with Ardent Sensor, like then not Ardent Sensor. What is it? Ardent Sentinel. The 1/1 with Metalcraft that gets +2/+2, and it's single white. If a deck is to exist like that, this card is probably in it. I just don't think. I mean, I've seen a white weenie deck, but I just we haven't seen anything that would fit that bill yet.
Yeah, I don't think the thing holding that deck back though is the equipment. I think that's definitely the creature base.
Yeah, it's the creature base.
It needs more creatures at a reasonable cost.
It just needs more good creatures.
Yeah, at a reasonable cost.
Yeah,
you tell me that 2/4 Metalcraft isn't good enough.
All right. Let's see. Next up, we have Scrollshift. Scrollshift is a 3-mana instant for 2 and a white. You get to exile up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment, and then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control and draw a card. So this is half of a Ghostly Flicker, or half of an Ephemerate, but you can blink more stuff, and you draw a card on it. So I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be the way to do it, but it is very, very interesting to test in things like familiars. Yeah, just really, I think this card has a lot of potential, and I don't know if it'll make the cut, but if it does, I want to have at least noted it. So, very close. Yeah, what are your thoughts here?
So Scrollshift, I would say it can see familiar play, but it's really the wrong color for that.
Yeah.
Right. It's got to be blue, I think, for this effect. Something notable about Scrollshift though is it's not just one that you control. So you can just snipe tokens all day and draw a card.
No, it says you control.
Great. No. Never mind. Scrollshift bad. You heard it here first, folks.
Unless it's, I mean, I guess syntax is really important here because it says 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment you control.
Right.
And so, I mean, you could I was never very good at English, but if the syntax is off just a little bit, and you can make an argument that it is any target artifact, any target creature, and an enchantment you control are your options, then maybe you could swindle some token deaths here. But yeah, I think that this is if it's gonna see play, it'll be in familiars.
That's fair.
All right. Next up is a cube card. Sigiled Sentinel. It's a 2/2 human knight for 3, 2 and a white, and it has backup 1 and vigilance. So again, when this enters play, it puts a 1/1 counter on target creature. If it's another creature, they gain its ability until the end of the turn, which is vigilance. So this is a 3/3 with vigilance, or a 2/2 with vigilance that gives +1 and +1. Counter, and then vigilance until end of turn to another target creature. So definitely versatile. I agree that this is a contender for cube, for the same reason that the 1-drop is. Backup is a very powerful ability for the green-white 1/1 counters archetype, and I'm excited to see how good it really is, because I in my head I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah, no, this seems pretty good to me too. I like the backup mechanic just because you can make, the dudes that don't have Summoning Sickness big enough to swing through.
Yeah.
And it's just, it lets the white get not pseudo haste, but just pseudo keyword big.
Yeah.
Well,
and I will say, the backup is what I wish Bozri's Acolyte had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then at least it could target itself. And And that's one of the big faults for me on cards like that, or cards that we've had of that nature. I like that these can target themselves or others, and that if you target something else to spread the love, you get a little bit of gravy on top, which is cool. Let's see. Anything else for here?
No, just cool cube card.
Yep. All right, and then last but not least for white, we have Sunder the Gateway. Sunder the Gateway is a 2-mana sorcery. For a white and a colorless, you get to choose one. Destroy target non-token artifact or enchantment. An opponent controls and incubate 2. Incubate 2 is create an incubator token with 2 1/1 counters on it, and then you can pay 2 and transform it. So basically, you get a non-creature artifact with some 1/1 counters, and then if you pay 2 mana, it becomes a creature. It stays an artifact, and then if you don't have an artifact or enchantment to destroy, you can just incubate 2 and then transform an incubator token you control, so you get the 2/2 right away. Or if you have a bigger incubate token, maybe you get an even bigger creature out of it. Definitely an interesting card. I really don't like that sorcery speed part. But I guess I could view this as like as a pseudo amass, right? So if you evaluate this as like a creature with this effect on it, it's a pretty decent creature. You know, it's like a foretell almost, like if you foretold your 2/2, but you got the ETB effect right away. So kind of interesting in that regard. I do like Incubate. I think it's a cool ability. For any of you that aren't super versed in the keywords of this set, I will link the video where I go over all the new mechanics here. But I think that will be the last reminder text that we read through, just FYI. Yeah, what do you like about this card? Tell me why you put it on the list.
So I like this card a lot because if you it touches on the last thing you said, how this is a creature that comes in and does this thing, right? Quote unquote. You just pay 2, you get the enter the battlefield effect of said creature, and you pay 2 at some point in time later for the body. Then there's no white creature that costs 2. In fact, I don't think there's a white creature at all in Pauper, at least not a played one for sure, that hits an artifact or an enchantment.
Yeah, definitely not a played one.
Mm-hmm. There's 2 mana ones that hit enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's 2 of them, and one of them is played, but not for that effect of it.
Yeah. But that's an exile.
Yeah. And
for
then
those of you, we're talking about revoke.
Oh no, I was talking about the priest dude.
Oh, you're talking about the creature.
Yeah. There's, I mean, revoke existence is the clear comparison to this card.
But
it just doesn't have a body.
Doesn't exile. It just destroys the enchantment.
Yes. But this hits an artifact as well, so I see it's it gives white card advantage in a different way.
Yeah.
Outside of traditionally drawing a card, so it gives you something to do later on with your mana. It gives you a body. You know, it sets you up slightly differently from other decks.
Yep, and white having this type of effect on, you know, a creature, quote unquote, that you can then proliferate to grow is also something that the green-white 1/1 counters deck in the cube looks for. So yeah, I could definitely see a world where this is evaluated more as a creature than it is a spell, and in those worlds, I think this effect is pretty valuable. Not sure that I like that you only get the 2/2 if you don't destroy anything, and I don't like that it says non-token. That seems like a very strange thing to hit for me. Not sure why they had to do it that way in templating. That seems very strange. I think this probably could have hit tokens and been fine. I understand that for limited, they didn't want you to like blow up your opponent's incubate tokens, but it seems like it's going to sacrifice the playability of the card outside of limited for limited's sake, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And you do get the token if you choose to destroy something.
Yeah, you just have to pay for the creature. I understand. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that is all of the quick hits for white. So, what do you think? Like, are you excited about anything that white got from this set? Like, do you think white is gonna get power out of this set? Because I didn't see anything like super exciting for white for Pauper constructed. Some cube cards, sure, but white definitely doesn't seem like it's gonna make a huge splash.
Yeah, the only really outstanding um, effects, I don't mean outstanding in that they're amazing, but like the ones that are outstanding and there's not really much else to compete against, are Angelic Intervention and Kor Halberd. And so if anything comes out of this that's new, or even like a side grade index, I think it'll be those two cards.
Yeah, perhaps. I suppose we'll see. Let's go ahead and jump into blue. And for blue, we're going to start on Ephara's Dispersal. An instant for 3 mana, 2 and a blue. It says this spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets an attacking creature, and return target creature to its owner's hand, and surveil 2. Tell me your thoughts here. What do you like about this card?
I really like this. This just lets you surveil too. Honestly, it's an unsummon that you just get to put stuff in the graveyard with.
Yeah. Yeah. In a world with Snap, I'm not sure this has space, but I don't hate it. In a world with Snap, I'm not sure this card has legs, just because it seems like it's playing a very similar role, except Snap you can bounce a blocker and it's still free. So not sure if Dispersal here has what it needs to be successful in competing against what we currently have, but I do like the Surveil 2, like Vapor Snag with Surveil 2 instead of Lose a Life definitely has promise. Yeah, I guess it'll really be decided on what this is there to target, because you're not going to bounce like a goblin token with this and feel good about it, you know? But
I mean,
you could bounce like a Gurmag Angler and feel incredible about this. So, yeah,
I don't know, I'd feel really bad bouncing a Swift Spear, but a Goblin token, I'm feeling great with still.
I don't think great's the word. If you're spending 1 mana to negate a third of their 1 mana spell.
But don't get me wrong, like if I'm bouncing a Gurmag, I'm gonna need some tissue on my end of the table.
All right. Let's see. Next up is Eyes of Gitaxias. This is a 3 mana sorcery, 2 and a blue for Incubate 3. So it just makes that 3/3 Incubator token, and it says draw a card on it. This for me is a really interesting card because it is 1/1 counter based. So Proliferate is a thing, especially because in All Will Be One we got a handful of new Proliferate cards, but also Thrumming Bird exists, and that just seems like a really interesting curve to me. Like Thrumming Bird on 2, Eyes on 3, and while I'm not sure that it's good enough, it's really interesting, and I kind of want to give it a shot. So putting it on the list just to get it out there and let people think about it. But I do think that this card has some interesting implications next to like Thrumming Bird and things of that nature. So brew with it and hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you guys come up with. I'm interested in seeing your thoughts. I don't really have anything else for this one. What about you?
It's I have nothing beneficial to add to that conversation.
All right. Then next up is Meeting of Minds, which is I don't want to say certainly, but almost certainly the best and most playable card of the set. And the only really competition comes from red, so we'll get there in a bit. But Meeting of the Minds is Meeting of Minds. Sorry, not Meeting of the Minds. Is a 4 mana instant. For 3 and a blue, you get Convoke, so your creatures can tap to cast the spell, and it draws 2 cards. This is a 4 mana divination. at instant speed that allows you to tap creatures to not pay for it. This card's great. This card is a slam dunk in anything that plays blue. I know people are brewing this in Familiars, they're brewing it in Delver, they're brewing it in Mono Blue Fairies. You know, tons of people are giving this card a shot, and everybody likes it. So this is almost certainly going to see play in one, if not all of those decks. Yeah, I mean, what are you excited to put this in? Because this is definitely going to be in a few decks.
I don't think I have any particular deck that I'd put this in. Just off the top of my head, it's just a good card.
Yeah.
I think that there's a rough template for any kind of a deck that you're trying to build, and if that deck has blue in it, then this kind of is one of those cards you have to argue with yourself to not include.
Yeah, definitely. This card seems very, very powerful, and I am here for it. And then rounding out blue is a blue creature called Saiba Cryptomancer. It is a 0/1 4/2, 1 in a blue with flash. It is a Moonfolk Ninja, and it has backup 1 and gives hexproof if you use it. This card is quite strong in something like Mono Blue Delver or Mono Blue Fairies with ninjas. Rebuying it seems very, very good, as well as pumping any of your late game threats, like making Tolarian Terror a 6/6 is very strong. Making your Spire Golems 3, what is it? A 3/5? Man, that's huge. Making Delver a 4/3, you can really pump some power out. I mean, even just like making a ninja a 3/3 or making a fairy a 2/2 to dodge like a gut shot or like in the festivities or something. Like, you can do a lot with that backup counter as well as with that hexproof. And so I think this card just has enough versatility built into it as a flash blue card for 2 mana. It's reasonably costed. It's very easy to bluff up with things like Spell Stutter already being played. So definitely, I think for me, it's just kind of hit the trifecta, right? It's the right mana cost. It's a relevant type, and it has a relevant keyword. So,
got a few.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm super into it. I don't know what I'm playing with this card, but this card will be certainly tested in at least 2 or 3 of my decks. So, what do you think about this guy?
No, you said it pretty much. So I was equating this to there was an enchantment in Theros when we went back to it. It was like a blanket of some sort across the colors in blue. Gave hexproof until the end of turn, and gave the creature 1/1. Now it also had flash on it.
Yep.
So like this is just the same card, but it's been given a power and toughness. And with that, just being able to abuse it with the now 8 ninjas we have, it's. I think that's going to be probably 2 of, at least in that deck.
Yeah, probably. All right. Let's see. Plus, you get like combining it with like mutagenic growth and the what is it? The 1/2 for 1 blue with flash. That's a dueling fairy that gives something -2/-0. It's like Salt Barrow Swindler or something. Salt Barrow Smuggler. I don't remember. But
I know what you're talking about. He's got the rapier on the picture.
yeah, if you combine that with this, and mutagenic growth, like, you get a lot of weird combat tricks, and math becomes really difficult for the opponent to calculate profitable attacks and profitable blocks. So, combining the backup with mutagenic plus the ability to shrink creatures at instant speed for 1 blue, you definitely get some really you get a lot of options out of your creature base and the ability to reuse them on ninjas. So yeah, I think this card definitely has a home in at least Mono Blue Fae, maybe also Mono Blue Delver. So what do you think about the blue cards from this set? You think anything huge is gonna make the cut, or dynamically change constructed Pauper?
I, I'm trying to think of the word. It's inspiration with Convoke. Meeting of minds.
Meeting of minds.
That's it. Yeah, just having it cost possibly 0 to draw 2 cards is
At
Yeah,
instant speed, even. Like, that's better than Thoughtcast.
that's literally everything that you want to do. You just want to draw cards for free.
Yep. Now, I will say in the decks that it goes in outside of familiars, not attacking is usually not a way to victory. But yeah, man, instant speed, potential draw 2 for free is just so good. All right. Starting off black, we have Corrupted Conviction. This is a 1 black mana instant. As an additional cost, you sack a creature, you draw 2 cards. This is essentially an alternate art for Village Rites. With Deadly Dispute and Reckoner's Bargain, I don't think anyone needs more than 4 Village Rites in their deck. But if you prefer this art, have at it, man. This is a cool art. It features a Johnny in his completed form with Elish Norn in the background, which is pretty sick. But yeah, this is a functional reprint of Village Rites, and we have so many functional reprints in this set, so I doubt it's going to be the last one we discuss. But it is, however, one that I think is irrelevant from duplication. So unlike some of the cards later that are functional reprints that now we can run like 8 effective copies of a single card, I don't think there's any shot this gets to above 4 of a single card for like multiples of Village Rites and Corrupted Conventions. Yeah, not with as many sacrifice draw spells as we already have that are better.
I'm just saying, now we can really dig in, and Watsy will hear our voices this time. We just gotta say ban Deadly Dispute. You know, real loud, echo it. You gotta feel it.
All right, well, you're welcome to do that. I'm not going to. It's in too many decks that I like. Anyway, next up is Final Flourish, which is a really, really good card. It's a 2 mana instant, and for a black and a colorless, you get Kicker, Sacrifice, an artifact or creature. And then target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. If the spell was kicked, that creature gets -6/-6. So, for the same reason that Deadly Dispute and Reckoner's Bargain is good, this seems good for the same reasons, especially if you're already running the package for value with Deadly Dispute and Reckoner's Bargain, which is Ichor Wellspring and Chromatic Star or Experimental Synthesizer, and there's a lot of value to be had here. I don't think this is as good as either of the 2 draw spells, because drawing 2 cards is significantly better than killing a creature most of the time. But -6/-6 is an absolutely massive kill spell for Pauper. It kills indestructible things, which can deal with the 3/3 indestructible bird land from Kenku Artificer in Affinity. It can kill pretty much everything in the format as a clean 1-for-1. So, yeah, the kicker here is really just not a downside, and I think a lot of decks are going to give this a shot. I think this card's probably pretty good. It might be a 2 of in Affinity, but I don't think it's going to be more than that. Yeah, good card, though. Good card for sure.
Yeah, I think Final Flourish is at most going to be mirror tech, just to mess around with the Kenku.
Yep.
But yeah, solid card. We need more kill spells in Pauper. That's a draw a card on them.
Yeah.
But you know,
this is close.
Yeah.
All right, and then next up we have Unseal the Necropolis. Now this is a card that I slept on pretty hard through spoiler season, and then I read it and I was like, whoa. So Unseal the Necropolis is a 3 mana instant. For 2 and a black, you get each player mills 3 cards. Then you can return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Now, it is not creature cards from among cards milled this way, unlike some of the other effects of this set and last set that I just absolutely don't like. This has huge implications for Black-Blue Terror Angler decks, because it is the only, at least that I've seen, efficient and beneficial way to get threats back that you may have milled or may have been killed off previously in the game. And the deck was hurting so bad for threat recycling that it was even running Reaping the Graves at one point. So this is definitely a welcome inclusion in that deck. I think it'll probably be a 2 or a 3 of, because it's not a 1-drop, but it is very powerful. It It's an instant, so you get to cast it if you're holding up a counter spell and they don't run into it. It mills cards and is an instant itself, so it's supporting your Gurmag Anglers and your Tolarian Terrors, and then anything that goes in the graveyard throughout the course of the game you get back. So this is just an absolute slam dunk for the Black Blue Terror deck, and I'm excited to play with it. I think this is a very good inclusion for that deck, and I think it puts it kind of back on the map because it has been falling off lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say the closest analog we have to this was Reaping the Graves, just in terms of being instant. But then there was also Macabre, or Macabre, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a correct pronunciation in there somewhere.
Macabre Waltz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is definitely an upgrade to that, because you actually just straight up go +2 cards on it at instant speed, as opposed to needing to sandbag a land for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, big fan of this card, so I'm excited to give this a shot. I think this is gonna very, very big for the blue-black terror list. I think it's gonna help a lot. Last but not least is Traumatic Revelation. So this is a 2-mana sorcery, black and a colorless. It says target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a creature or battle card from among it. There are no battles at common, so we're not going to worry about that. But you may choose a creature from among it. If you do, they discard that card. If you don't, you incubate 3. And this is a really kind of strong analog to Toll of Invasion, which was a previous cube card that has recently been cut. Getting a 3/3 is a really strong option if you whiff on a discard spell, and oftentimes in Pauper, getting a creature, especially in some of the important matchups, is worth not getting the 3/3. All in all, I think this card might not be better than Duress, but it is certainly worth considering when you're building your deck. And I'm kind of interesting to see if anybody finds a way to make this work. I think it's a pretty good card, but maybe just subpar for what we have already.
Yeah, I think this needed to say a non-land card for what you could pick from it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, it's nice that it has insurance on Incubate, but I think you can make this Incubate 2 and have it cost 1 and keep that restriction for creature or battle.
Absolutely. And then it would be way better.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a straight up despise upgrade.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would love for this to be a 1-mana discard spell that if you whiff, you just get a 2/2 out of it. Like, I'm so on board. That sounds great.
And to be on curve, too.
Yep. Because then you could animate it the next turn, and it's transform, which means it'd be able to attack. Man, that seems really good.
I know, right? Just put me in R&D.
Yeah, no, I like that idea a lot. I think it'd be too good, but I like that idea a lot.
Huh. Incubate 1.
Honestly, that might be the fairest way to do it. Incubate 2 seems very powerful, but in either case, that rounds out black. What are your thoughts on black here? Do you have any huge hopes for the black cards coming out of March of Machines?
I mean, not particularly. I mean, we did get 3 functional reprints, and I feel like that kind of cut down on a lot of possible design space that they could have messed around with.
Yeah, we got so many functional reprints in this set.
Yeah, so it's just...
They're running out of ideas, man.
But to be fair, they are going across the multiverse with this one, so seeing some things that we had seen before makes sense. It's just... it's not what I wanted.
I would have liked to see more of what we hadn't seen before.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of more of what we had. But yeah, I'm with you. I do think that Unseal the Necropolis is going to be a very powerful card. I don't know if any of the other black hits really are going to make a huge impact, but I think that one at very least will. All right. Let's see. What do we got next? Next up is red. First up, we have Hangar Scrounger. Now, at first glance, this doesn't seem too impressive, but stick with me. It'll be worth it. So this is a 2/1 Dwarf Pilot for 3 mana. So 2 and a red. It has backup 1, and whenever this creature becomes tapped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. This doesn't seem super interesting. We have a lot of rummage effects in red already. However, when you use this to back up on Seeker of Skybreak. All of a sudden, something really interesting happens. And you are able to draw through your entire deck as long as you have one card in hand, which is super interesting. Now, I don't think you could do much with one single card and having milled your entire deck, but with 2 or 3 cards, things become really interesting because Fist of Flame exists, which is a 2-mana spell that says target creature gets +1/+0 and trample for each card you've drawn this turn. And that's something. You can hit very hard, very fast with this, with some Lotus Petals and, maybe some Rite of Flames or something to accelerate. A turn 2 kill is possible. A turn 3 kill is, very possible. Whether or not your Seeker of Skybreak lives is kind of awkward, so, you've got to play around a lot, but man, if somebody comes up with a way to do stuff with this, it's gonna be good. Like, I don't know what the finisher is. I don't think that it's combat, just because I think that's a little too fragile to too much. But man, if anybody comes up with a way to break this, like, this deck's gonna be very good. Like, originally my thought was to operate it off of like a Songs of the Damned Felden's Cane type scenario. So you could Songs to generate a whole bunch of mana and then play Felden's Cane to shuffle your graveyard back into your deck, and then you mill yourself back down. But I don't know what you do with it, but like, it seems interesting, and I definitely want to see some of the more brewer people out there watching on YouTube. I want to see what you can do with this card. So show me some deck lists. Let's talk about what the payoff for this combo is, because I really want to see it work. It's super interesting, and I'm excited to try it out. What are your thoughts about this guy?
It's been a minute. That the other piece of this is green, right?
Yeah. It's a 2-drop for green colorless. It's a 2/1 tap and untap target creature.
That seems very difficult to disrupt if they just have something like Snakeskin or Vines of Vastwood.
Right.
Then they just win.
Mm-hmm.
So
if they can,
I hope it's not too oppressive.
Well, so there has to be a way to do something with it, but it can. You will draw your whole deck. Like, it's just a matter of what can you do once you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, super interesting card. Really excited for the combo potential here. Don't know what I want to do with it, but I want to do something.
Man, what I would do for Conflagrate.
Right. All right. What's up next? Next up is Ral's Reinforcements. This is another iteration of Krankos Command, or any number of the 2/1/1s for 2 mana spells. It's a sorcery for a red and a colorless, and it makes 2/1/1 blue and red elemental creature tokens. This is mainly a cube contender, and it is a cube contender specifically because the tokens are not monocolored, so it is relevant for them to be able to block Guardian of the Guild Pact. Otherwise, this is a straight-up parallel to something like Krankos Command. Do you have anything special in mind for this card, or are we just we content with saying it's a cube option?
It's a cube option.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
But next up is a card you wanted to talk about, which is Volcanic Spite. It's a 2-mana instant for red and a colorless. It deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, or battle. So in Pauper, it deals 3 damage to target creature. And you may put a card from your hand onto the bottom of your library if you do draw a card. Man, what I wouldn't give for this to say creature or a player.
Well, I got good news for you. No, yeah, this is really just Fire Prophecy, and I like that card a lot. I like seeing Volcanic Spite, or seeing that style of card brought back.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't hate it. I don't know that the right deck has been made for it, specifically because there are things like Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Lava Spike, things that more of the time hit the thing you want to,
Sure.
which isn't creature.
Yeah. And for me, if this is a cube contention card, the only thing I can think of that it would be competing with a spot for is a Braid.
Oh no, Braid's better.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, not sure we can find room for it, but it is super interesting, so I'll keep it in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see, last in red, rounding out red for the hot, the quick hits
Is Fiery Impulse.
is Reckless Impulse. Sorry,
That's what
Wrenn's
I meant.
Resolve.
Oh,
This is a functional reprint of Wrenn Resolve, and it is hilarious that this is, if not the most playable card in the set, the second most playable card under Meeting of Minds. It is a sorcery for 2 mana for Wrenn Nicholas. Exile the top 2 cards until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. It is exactly the same as Reckless Impulse, and the burn deck does want more than 4 copies of this card. So chances are this is gonna see play. People are already brewing a couple of different variations of red, running up to 8 copies of these 2 cards. So I'm there's going to be a lot of these in the format, I think.
mm. Ugh. Let's just hope it, on average, doesn't draw them 2 bolts at a time.
It does.
Mm.
And it's actually getting to the point now where it's so efficient to just run red card draw that people are testing things like Red Storm, where they're just running like Rite of Flames and Pingers.
That's about right.
And just really going deep. I was talking to somebody on Twitter today who said they had drawn 30 cards by turn 7.
Don't like that.
So there's a lot of stuff happening with this reprint. There's a lot of cards out there to exile, and I'm gonna be exiling them.
Well, don't worry, because Deadly Dispute's still in, so Wrenn's Resolve won't get banned because there's so many effects that are like this.
Yeah.
It would be completely irrelevant to ban this one.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, when you're right, you're right. And when you're Wrenn, you're Wrenn. All right. And that rounds out red. So obviously, Wrenn's Resolve is going to see play. There's no debate about that. But some of the other red cards, are you excited for anything coming out of red in this set? Like, you interested in messing around with that Seeker of Skybreak combo deck? What are you seeing from March of Machines in red that has you excited?
I really do like combo decks, but I like combo decks that have that allow for a certain amount of play back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Hangar Scrounger and Seeker of Skybreak, I think that just winning is
Wait,
going to
don't
be
you
kind of
play Altertron?
I still have a turn that I let you have.
That's not true.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Look, the people that I like, I let have an extra turn. But it's everything in Altertron's an artifact. You could hit everything. But yeah. I don't know. I'm not the biggest on that Millier deck strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that there's not interaction that's allowed. It's just green is really good at protecting its stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's going to be a problem. And I don't want something as innocuous as like Seeker of Skybreak to get banned just because of Hangar Scrounger. And I don't want Hangar Scrounger to get banned either because it's a new card.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want that combo deck to be bad.
No, I want it to be good. I don't.
But yeah, there's nothing else really in red that I'm excited about. It's all very polarizing. Like there's the one good card,
Yeah.
and then there's the rest of it.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, let's jump into green and we can talk about a couple of the cards from green. So from green, the first one to take note of is Blighted Bugeoning. This is an enchant land aura for 3 mana, 2 and a green. When it enters, you incubate 2, but that's not the important part. It's whenever the land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. So this is yet another wild growth or type effect to work with the Twiddlestorm deck, the blue-green Twiddlestorm, and I think ultimately at some point that deck is going to hit a critical mass of like efficient on color enchant land auras, and it's just going to come out of nowhere because people have forgotten about it. I don't think this is close enough. 3 mana to only increase by 1 is not where the deck wants to be. Right now it's using 4 mana plus 2s and 1 mana plus 1s. But it is something to take note of, that this deck is slowly getting more options, and at some point it is just going to be like, I'm back, and it's going to be really, really powerful. So keep your eye on effects like this, just not this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think this is like the fourth like 3 mana card that increases the mana by 1 from a land and does another thing.
Yep.
Like there was New Horizons, there was another one that gave you 3 life. Yeah, and there was another one that just said it tapped for like 2 green, I think.
Yep.
It's not a new type of effect. Like, so really what you'd be looking at is the incubate. Like that that extra effect they have. It's usually set specific. I don't think Incubate 2 is good enough on this either.
I don't either. This is
So that says,
strictly just a ramp aura, and that's the only reason I think it's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and so for that reason, I think you're playing the other 3 mana increase by 1s.
Probably. I don't think you're running any of the 3 mana ones. These type of effects I like to keep an eye on, because at some point that deck is going to get what it's looking for, and then it's going to, storm back in.
Right. Yeah, one of these days there's going to be a 2 mana add one, and they're still not going to play it, but they're going to be excited.
Or it's going to be like a 2 mana add one, scry 2, and then they're going to play it immediately. But we will move on. Next up is a card a lot of people are talking about, which is Converter Beast. Converter Beast is a 0/1 Phyrexian Beast for 4 mana, 3 and a green. But when it enters play, you get an Incubate 5 token. And that is a lot of token for 4 mana. I don't like that it's on an artifact, but man, flickering this is very strong. Considering each of those 5 drops only costs 2 mana.
And Ephemerate only costs 1.
Yeah, that's a lot of value coming out of an Ephemerate. But yeah, with so many lava darts floating around, makeshift munitions, things like that, a 0/1 is almost never going to survive long enough to be targeted by anything. I think a lot of people are excited about this card. I don't think I'm one of them, but I did want to talk about it and just let you guys know why I don't think it's good enough. Do you have anything else to add here?
No, it's such a serious drawback. Like, for this to be more excitable, or to make me excited, he'd need to cost 1 less, this creature itself, and he'd need to have toughness that was, better than the lowest he can possibly have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked this to be like an upgraded Nest Invader, maybe, like or maybe a Predator of Kozilek is a better argument, like a 4 mana 3/3 that comes with a token, or a 4 mana 2/2 that comes with a bigger token. Maybe a 4 mana 2/2 that makes a Incubate 4 token, or a 4 mana 3/3 that makes like an Incubate 3 token.
So here's my problem with Converter Beast, and it's gonna be a little contentious.
Okay.
I just think that the morbid 2/2 zombie maker is better in terms of overall value. You're getting much more for paying the 3 mana, and you get a 2/2 zombie alongside. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think she is better than Converter Beast.
Sure. Yeah, I could get behind that. I like Wake Dancer. I've played it a lot in the cube and had a lot of fun with it, but I'm actually talking about constructed, not cube, for Converter Beast.
No, me too.
Oh, okay.
I think that there's cards that do the effect that Converter Beast does, but more efficiently.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, and then lastly is a cube card, which is Placid Rottentail. This is a 1/1 fungus rabbit for 1 green, and it says Vigilance, and you can exile it for 2 and a green from your graveyard to put 2 1/1 counters on target creature, activate as a sorcery. Now, granted, the activate only as a sorcery is a bit of a drawback here, but these type of effects have been proven to be quite good most of the time. Having a 1-drop on curve when you want it, and then a growth spell when you need it later is very, very good in terms of green value. Green just does not have a ton of value, and this fits in both the green-white archetype and the black-green archetype, in that it gives 1/1 counters to support that, and it has graveyard value to support the other. So I'm a pretty big fan of this card for the cube. Actually, I think it might make the cut just in terms of value and versatility.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I like this card a lot in the 1/1 counters archetype on its own, just because it has a useful keyword.
Yep.
Costs 1. You don't feel bad about them reacting to the activation of the exiling him from your graveyard.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like they're actually countering a spell, right? Sure, they're interacting with whatever you're targeting, but it costs you very little.
Yeah. And 3 mana for 2/1/1s is actually remarkably good on rate. When you look at things like Cave of Temptation, right? That's effectively 5 mana or 4 mana and you sack a land, or 5 mana, sack the land for 2/1/1 counters. So this is, way above rate for that. Yeah, I'm a fan of this card. I'm excited to play it in the cube. I think it'll probably be good. What do you like from green in this set? Anything really catching your eye? I mean, I feel like for the 4th set in a row, green really just kind of unimpressive. Is this the 4th set in a row? Man, green just.
Yeah, it very well might be the 4th set in a row. Green has just been it's weird. So green in standard has been getting bangers. Their rares have been off the charts. But their commons are they're
so
lacking.
Bad. Yeah. Yeah, the last good green card we got was the Frog Samurai out of Modern Horizons 2. Have we gotten a good green common since then?
Yeah, there's a 3/3 Vigilance Trample, made a treasure when it entered.
Oh, Jewel Thief. Jewel Thief was good. Yeah, I'll give you Jewel Thief.
But yeah, I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. There's nothing.
That's it. That's it. Wow. Yeah, green really not coming up strong here. All right. And last but not least, to round out the set for the colorless cards, we have Halo Hopper, which is a 3 mana artifact creature frog. It is a 3/2 with Convoke, so it can be a 3 free 2. And while it is a frog, it is not Frogmite. But it is awfully close, and I think a lot of people are going to try doing stuff with this card. For me personally, I don't know that it's good enough, because the affinity deck is already cutting into their Frogmites. They really don't need that many of them, so I don't think we need more Frogmites. But man, just look at that art, dude. It's such a cool looking card.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. But it's just so plain.
Yep. But I think that's the idea, right? Frogmite was just a vanilla 2/2, but you get to cast it for free, and this is a 3/2 you can cast for free. But yeah, I think that rounds out the set for March of the Machines. Anything you're super excited with overall? I mean, what do you think about the set, the quality in the set? What this set for me feels like.
I think that white was really the big winner in terms of the quantity of cards they got that are possible. Sure. But I mean, red and blue, they just
the big winners here, really.
Getting,
yeah.
Yeah, they're getting the actual cards that are going to be played.
The best cards in the set are definitely Meeting of Minds and Wrenn's Resolve, and I don't think anything else is even close.
For sure. White is just getting options, and I think black had a sideboard card.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that rounds out the March of Machines quick hits. This is everything we think is going to be relevant in the Pauper format and up for discussion in the Pauper Cube. So thank you so much for watching along. Let us know your thoughts down below. If you disagree, if we missed anything, let us know. And what do you guys want to do with the Seeker of Skybreak self-mill combo? You know, let me know down below the craziest thing you can come up with to do with that combo in Pauper, because I want your deck ideas. Let me have them. And as usual, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. Hashtag the algorithm gang down below. Just get the video stirring up. And thank you so much for watching along and getting to the end of the video, guys. Appreciate you. And as usual, goodbye forever unless we see you next time. Peace out.